I am Gary Vonderow. I'm Assistant District Fish Biologist for Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Charleston Field Office. We are on the banks of the South Fork Coquille River in Coos County, and we're here to kind of talk about our new regulation we have which allows spearfishing for smallmouth bass. Smallmouth bass in the Coquille were illegally introduced. We discovered those in 2011. So this is a temporary regulation. It started July 15th and runs through October 31st. We are allowing the use of spears and spear guns, and we also allow the use of bait in all the locations that smallmouth bass are located in the Coquille River system. So after the end of the season, we'll reevaluate and look at maybe potentially working towards permanent regulation if things seem to be working out. Over the last few years, we've seen a major decline in fall Chinook numbers on the Coquille. We have an average of 6,000 spawners in the Coquille for fall Chinook, and in 2018 we had just under 500 spawners, and this last year, 2019, we had 275 spawners in the river. We put a team together of district staff and research staff, and we looked at all the potential reasons why the big decline in fall Chinook happened. And it's a combination of things, and one of the things was definitely the predation from non-native fish like smallmouth bass and striped bass in the river. So we really want to do our part to bring back the fall Chinook numbers here, and so we want to just allow the spearfishing regulation allows anglers another opportunity to harvest fish.
So what's the history of smallmouth bass? How did they get here?
We're not sure exactly how they got here. Probably somebody carried them over with a bucket. Most likely probably came from the Umpqua, since it's just over the basin. It looks like they were, the hot spot when they were first introduced seemed to be in the South Fork Coquille River here. And shortly in 2011, we found them here from anglers that reported those to us. In 2012, we got our hands on several of those fish and looked at age class, diet, things like that. At that time, there was about 4 year classes that were here in the river, so they've been around for a few years. And shortly after that, they've really spread throughout the whole basin. So they're all the way up to the Forest Service boundary on the South Fork above the town of Powers. They're up the Middle Fork, in the North Fork, and all the way down towards the Riverton, where we have saltwater coming up in the tidewater. So there's competition there. So you have competition for the young fish that are competing for food, and then when smallmouth get a little bit bigger, so around 6 inches or bigger, they can directly prey on our salmonids here in the river system. So, and we've documented mainly what we see a lot in the diet is we've been out in the summertime sampling, so we see a lot of insects, but we have documented smallmouth with salmonids in their diet. So. Yeah, so shortly after 2012, we got the word out. We removed regulations on smallmouth bass in the Coquille Basin right away, and the Oregon Bass Association and other local bass groups in the state of Oregon, they came together and pooled up some money, and they offered a $3,000 reward to anybody that could provide information leading to the person that illegally introduced the smallmouth into the system here. We do a lot of management of warm water fisheries throughout the state of Oregon. We have several water bodies here in our county and our district that we manage for warm water fish. The Coquille is an example where we're kind of managing against smallmouth bass, mainly because of the conservation reasons for keeping and protecting our fall Chinook here. So for access for anglers, we've made just kind of a general map showing general locations where we have public access. On the South Fork Coquille, there's several places on the bank where you can access the river. If you're looking to kind of get away from the crowds, these are locations where this time of year, you could use like a kayak or a pontoon boat, and you'll find more and bigger fish as you get away from these access points. Downriver, where you get into like Myrtle Point downstream, you can actually use a motorboat in a lot of those areas, and it's tidally influenced, and there's lots of fish down there too. And those, sometimes you have to be careful of tide and water getting a little shallow in those locations.